Something to celebrate perhaps is how big Apple is banking on India. From a 9% of the total exports back in the second quarter of last financial year to nearly 49% of the total exports this June quarter is a story in itself. Apple is firing up all its engines here in India. Perhaps India could be the next home after China. Or in fact, even, I don't know, beat China at that.
No, sure. I think, the ground is set for that India-China battle to actually now rage on, and especially when it comes to manufacturing, where China had been the front runner, India had been a laggard. But what we've seen by way of, of Apple upping its manufacturing here in India, the data is fascinating. Last year, and it's not just, Apple eating into Samsung's share. Samsung till last year was the largest, in fact, even till early Q1 of this year.
Still the largest.
Samsung was the largest manufacturer of smartphones in India. And we are just talking about what is being manufactured in India by way of these two companies. So Samsung was doing the bulk of smartphone production in India, and Apple being a distant second last year. It inched up from that 9% you mentioned to about 40% of market share in Q1 of this year. And Samsung's dominance had reduced to about 45%. And look at the data for Q2 of 2023. You have Samsung being pipped squarely by Apple. Apple now producing as much as 49% of India's smartphones, and Samsung now relegated to just about 40% or so. So I think what this means is that, of course, there is Apple's faith in India versus that on China. So, and Apple is definitely upping its production here in India. At the same time, it's also a telling sign of this tectonic shift which perhaps is happening from Android to iOS. And I think that data again is fascinating. You come at a point where Android was the largest market of smartphones across the world, especially in India. And now with more and more manufacturing of Apple products happening, it also tells a sign of perhaps that Android dominance across the world ending and Apple really eating up into that share.
All right, Apple definitely eating up into that share. Overall, although the exports have declined marginally from 13 million in the first quarter to about 12 million in the June quarter. Sequentially, there's been a very slight blip,
but
though,
look at
nothing
it,
to worry about.
Why Q2 last year,
that's a big
8
jump
million to Q2
12.
this year, 12 million. It's a straight up 50% growth. 50% more smartphones are being manufactured in India. So 8 million to 12 million is a good number, and a bulk of that, a good 50% of that, half of that, is Apple, is again, something to rejoice.
I'm just very fascinated by the growth from 8% to 49, 50%. I mean, I think that is something that wonders me as to how quickly it made India its home and how quickly it expanded in a period of
Shweta,
12
because
months.
you are completely dependent on contract manufacturers.
That is correct.
You have Foxconn, you have Pegatron, you have Wistron, and you have these three companies availing the PLI facility that India has offered them, and really ramping up production. So I think it's that complete faith in the players who are contract manufacturing for Apple and really pushing them to go ahead and make more.